Now, I suppose.
I'm fine.
Yeah. So, welcome everyone. This is Ravi Gupta. I am editor in chief of eGov magazine and also CEO and founder of Elets Technomedia. And we are here in this knowledge exchange summit, and we have with us a uh, very eminent speaker. He is none other than Dr. Subodh Agrawal, who is chairman and managing director of Rajasthan Renewable Energy Corporation Limited. And we are all aware that renewable energy has become the talk of the town, talk of the world in the context of global warming, climate change, and a lot of other issues of pollution. So there is a huge awareness that renewable energy is very, very important for the humans. And it is also important to save the earth from the various uh, uh, disasters it is facing. So in this context, I welcome Dr. Subodh Agrawal, who is who's a senior IS officer, Namaskar, sir, and who has been secretary of various other departments earlier in the government of Rajasthan, and also he has worked in the government of India. And may I request Dr. Subodh Agrawal to kindly come on the screen. And I think, sir, there is some background noise, I think, which is there. So let me just put my headphone on. Uh, Give me a second, sir. Give me a second. Am I audible, sir?
Perfect. Perfect.
Perfect. So I request you, sir, to kindly give your presentation at this Knowledge Exchange Summit. So,
Thank you so much, Ravi ji, and thank you so much, Karthik ji. I hope I'm audible to my friends. This renewable energy is a new sector for me. It's a very exciting sector, and probably the future lies here. When I was not in the renewable energy sector, I used to always, whenever, and some of the people who are there must have heard me say that it used to be, it is a fact that sun gives us, and the amount of energy that sun gives us, that is the earth, in 2 minutes is sufficient to power all the appliances and all uses of humanity on the earth for a year. So this is the amount of energy, this is the amount of scope, and people used to be very surprised. But when they checked, this was true. In 2 minutes, the eternal source of energy, sun, gives us enough to power all our needs, all our equipments, all our vehicles, and everything else that humans need. I'm the HR officer of Rajasthan Kharghar, and I've been to various places. I feel Rajasthan is the sunny state of India. It has the highest potential, natural advantages. We have the highest solar irradiation. We have a very high wind potential, and we have large chunks of barren land. What used to be a disadvantage earlier, that you could not cultivate desert land, now has become an advantage because it offers you cheaper land, it offers you uninterrupted huge chunks of land where there is no encroachment, where there are no issues. We've also over time developed a very favorable policy framework. We have a new solar energy policy 2019. We have a wind hybrid energy policy 2019. And we have a RIPS, Rajasthan Investment Promotion Scheme, which has been rated as one of the best investment promotion scheme in the country as of date. If you see further, we have enough sufficient infrastructure capacity. Most important thing is solar energy is power evacuation. So we have, I'll come to that a little later. We have adequately in place assured power evacuation facility. And though people think that water is a problem, we have assured water from IGNP canal, and Rajasthan Water Resource Department has allocated 25 cusecs of water exclusively from IGNP for solar projects. Coming back to advantage Rajasthan on solar front, we have the highest solar radiation in the country. Honorable Minister, Government of India, Mr. Singh mentioned that Rajasthan had the highest solar radiation. The only place which beats us in India is Leh, which is only a district, but because of terrain issues and others, we still feel that Rajasthan is the best option. And the amount of land availability in the scope, we are geographically the largest state, so you can imagine how much scope we have for this work. We have the highest number of sunny states, 325 days in a year, which is literally about more than 8 months. If you see the country's potential as has been assessed by MNRE, which is Ministry of non Ministry of Renewable Energy, the India's potential is 748 gigawatts, and Rajasthan itself corners 19% of it, which is 142 gigawatts. This makes us the state with the highest solar power potential. In capacity terms, we are second. We have a capacity of 5573 megawatts. Karnataka beats us, but I hope because we have the highest power potential and we have the highest solar radiation, we will catch up soon. Karnataka has around 7000 megawatt. In wind, we again have a very high potential. Our estimated wind potential is 127 gigawatts. As measured, wind power density is 210 to 400, depends upon the area and depends upon the height. This is measured on the basis of the national report, which talks about 120-meter height. CUF is 18 to 35, and we are ranked fifth in the country after Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, Maharashtra, and Karnataka. Now I'll come to the advantages. Land is the biggest advantage. We feel that we have huge chunks of land and even the private land, because nobody had ever planned the land in terms of private and government. We have huge chunks of land.
Sir, may just interrupt, sir. Your like if you can remove your mask, sir. Your like there is noise
Okay, is it
coming.
fine? I'll
Yes, sir. उसको हटा दें
okay.
सर.
I hope
वो माइक के
mask is compulsory in Rajasthan, so I hope they will not find me in my office. So we have large chunks of land, both government and private, and private land is available at very cheap rates. In fact, because of this high potential of rural for renewable energy, lands have gone up, land prices have gone up, but still they are very much economical. We have already surveyed few districts, Jaisalmer, Jodhpur, Bikaner, the three areas which we have surveyed, and we have more than 125,000 acres of land in this. We have also changed our rules are specifically to suit renewable energy sources, and we have made amendments in our rules, land allotment rules 2007. We also have this that there is no conversion required. So our current policy regime is extremely favorable for for renewable energy, and there is no ceiling. Most states have ceiling. We also had ceiling, but for renewable energy, we have removed the ceiling. As for water, I've already mentioned we have fixed allocation, and we are still far underutilizing our allocation. For power evacuation, we have uh, perfect power evacuation system in the state power grid also. That is RVPM, which is a state unit. We have 6,000 megawatt spare capacity plus ISTS interstate transmission system. 20 gigawatt is being developed by PGCIL with four 765 kV stations at Bhadla, Bikaner, Fatehgarh, and three at Bhadla, Bikaner, Fatehgarh, and four at Bikaner, Fatehgarh, Ramgarh, Kucheri in Jaisalmer. Rajasthan has also evolved, the Rajasthan government has involved a single window clearance system, that is a one stop shop facility. So all permissions for you can be obtained at one point, and that point is BIP. You won't have to rush from department to department, from office to office, desk to desk. You will get them, and we have the best policy which gives 100% exemption on stamp duty, 100% exemption on land tax, 75% on SGST for 7 years, 50% employment subsidy for 7 years, and beyond this also we have a customized package for mega investment. In case you have a higher degree of investment, we will be happy to give you further benefits. Similarly, we have a wonderful MSME Act. We were lauded by all other states in the country, including center. We came across an act which was promulgated in 2019 called the MSME Act, by which for MSMEs you don't require any permissions under any law in the state, and there shall be no inspections for next 3 years by any inspecting authority which is under the state government. So both these have helped people to operate in a very hassle-free environment and devote all their energies to establishing new units, and it has had a very positive effect on the industrial environment in the state. Eh, Beyond the RIPS, the Social Wind and Hybrid Policy 2019 provides incentives, and major ones are exemption of transmission and wheeling charges for first 500 megawatt capacity up to March 2023, 75% exemption for 7 years with storage systems, and 100% exemption for 10 years for RE projects for EV charging stations. We also provide annual banking facility to captive consumption and 100% exemption from electricity duty for captive consumption for 7 years. Beyond this, in our policy, we provide additional benefit that is further in addition for manufacturing units. So, for manufacturing units, it is 100% exemption on electricity duty for 10 years, land allotment at 50%, and 15% investment subsidy on SGST for 7 years. 15% is in addition to the 75%. 40% employment subsidy for 7 years. This is in addition to the 50%, and 5% interest subsidy or 20% capital subsidy. And of course, benefits of MSME policy, which was prepared in 2015. Next, we have been lucky because of our policy and because of the environment and of course natural advantages. Some of the new projects which are coming are from big companies and the expected investment, like for Adani is 46,000 crores, for Greenco 30,000 crores. Renew Energy is coming from manufacturing, solar module and cell manufacturing 1,000 crores, and other solar projects of about 40,000 crores. This expected investment in the coming few years will be to the tune of 1,17,000 crores. We are also planning in advance how to ensure that you have adequate land. The RRECL is creating solar parks which are under process. We have JV arrangements with SL, Adani. So in Falodi and Pokhran, we are creating solar parks of 50 capacity with SL at Fatehgarh of 1500 capacity with Adani, and Nok, we are doing it ourselves through a subsidiary, Rajasthan Solar Development Corporation Limited. In addition, we are planning a huge one in Jaisalmer. Let's hope that works out soon enough. Thank you. Next. This is our RE projects which have been installed, which are under implementation. So if you see, if I combine all the four, solar, wind, biomass, and decentralized. Decentralized means rooftop and kusum. We have already an installed capacity of more than 10,000 megawatt. There are projects under implementation, and under implementation means already which have taken few steps towards the final stage of completion, and projects under consideration in which proposals are being examined. So if you add up the total, we almost have 27,415 megawatt under our belt, but this is not enough. We have kept a target of 30 gigawatts, which is 30,000 megawatts, 4 in wind, 3.5 in hybrid till 2040, 24, 25. So our Chief Minister, Honorable Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot, in his recent address to RE Invest, said we might have to upward revise the target because we should be able to complete this target very soon. We also have ample scope for unfulfilled capacity of the state itself, which is around 5,500 megawatt, out of which solar is around 4,085 and wind is 1426. We would like to add that for Rajasthan, please seriously look at manufacturing, because solar and wind manufacturing units are our priority. We want them to come, and if you see, these are our partners in growth, and we want every other investor to come. And some of these names are huge. If you see Vestas, this is the um, largest largest wind turbine manufacturing company, Adani, Acme, Suzlon, NTPC, Indian Oil, all of them are here. So if these names mean anything to you and they are here with us, rest assured that will be great having you also with us. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think you have outlined a great investment plan, and investment attractions are huge. I think they are perhaps one of the best in the country. Uh, may I, sir, ask you that in detail, like which are the major projects which are coming up, which are at the final stage of deployment?
Uh, in terms in case of solar, if you see, Adani is coming up with 8,000 megawatt capacity for solar and 1,700 for hybrid, and it's planning an investment of 46,000 crores. They have already identified the land and they are in the process. They are also looking for a customized package, which is at the highest level and should be cleared soon. Similarly, Greenco is a company um, which has investments from Singapore and other places. So they are planning wind solar hybrid with storage system, and they are working on hydro pump, which is a very simple technology, and I was really impressed when they gave their presentation. See, the biggest problem with these is the firmness and the infirmness. So at times when there are peak times, you produce more energy, but you don't require so much. And at other times, because solar has this issue that you don't produce this energy in the night. So this storage capacity is a wonderful thing. Most of the companies are working on the battery system, the lithium acid batteries, but this system prescribes okay, but this system prescribes that you pump up water, keep it stored, and when you need it, you bring it down. So hydro pumping is another one, and there are huge number of people in line. SoftBank is one big major player. Acme is another major player. Azure is another player. Ayana is another player. So this almost totals up to 13,000 megawatt capacity, and Renew is coming into manufacturing. I mean, the total would be around 23,000 megawatt, which is 27,000 megawatt, which is lined up, and I hope more will come. Thank you.
So, how do you see renewable energy scenario in Rajasthan compared to other states of India? So, what are the opportunities and challenges?
See, I'll tell you, Rajasthan has always been very receptive, and what special thing about renewable energy is that what we always thought was a liability has turned out to be an asset. We had huge lands, desert lands, our people are sturdy. They were not able to grow agriculture crops, so they were doing so many other things. Now, suddenly, the land has found the right worth. In fact, maybe the right worth is yet to come. But you see, the land prices have almost gone 4 to 10 times at places. And with this network of evacuation working through, I'm sure this is the best thing that can happen in Rajasthan. And if you see the potential also, which government of India has assessed, 19% of country's potential, that is 142 gigawatt out of 748 gigawatt, is assessed in Rajasthan. And I feel that we have not yet reached our potential. We are still number two, while Karnataka has 7,000 megawatt installed capacity. We have 5573, which is 25% or so less. But I think the interest that investors are showing with our new policy, especially RIPS and solar policy, I think things will start coming to Rajasthan, and Rajasthan should be the most favored place for renewable energy, especially solar. Thank you.
Sir, one of the concerns which I think has been discussed a lot is that the rate of return of these investments is like perhaps very long, like long gestation periods are there. So, and that's why like a bit of worry from financial investments happen. So, how are you looking at this issue?
See, rate of investment has been pretty good. We run three JV companies, and I was just reviewing one of them. In fact, MNRE, wherever they are providing CFA, has capped the rate of return of 16%. So we are cash surplus. But yes, it has a long gestation period. But if you see, if it was not favorable, then the prices would not dip. Right now, in the SECI bidding, the last rate almost 15 days back was 2 rupees. Now, this fall has
Yes.
been tremendous over years. I mean, this 2 rupees made literally international news. If you see the rates at some point of time about 10, 12 years back, or maybe less also, they were around 14, 16, 12. And this fall has been, and Rajasthan has always got the lowest rate. So when our Bhadla plant came, we were 2.43, and that was the lowest of that time. This one also 2 rupees is the lowest for the country. So, and banks are very open. I mean, so many people have come who have actually told me that bank facility, funds is not an issue. What they need is number one, that they have a assured bid. Second, because land is not an issue and we are a very positive, receptive, investment friendly state. So from us, they face no problem. You should have seen the RE invest and response of some of the people who spoke there. And they were all gaga over because we don't create any hurdles. We let you move free, whether in terms of permissions. We have an MSME Act. In fact, Honorable Chief Minister was asking if this can be extended to all. There shall be no requirement of any permission under any state act, rule, or anything, and there shall be no inspection for 3 years, which actually means that we trust the investor that he's coming with clean hands, which means that you just go, you establish whatever you want to, run it, and you devote your energy, you devote your time, you devote your resources first to handle your project. And then, in case you think it is running, after 3 years, you can take permissions, and any of the permissions are not taken. So I think Rajasthan overall has the right ecosystem for people to come. And banks are not a problem. But if anybody is facing a bank issue, we will be ready to take up cudgels on his behalf. Thank you.
Sure. Sir, I think I will I'd like to ask you about the ease of doing a business in this sector. In your last stint, like earlier, you were in the industry department and you were handling this issue of ease of doing business. So, in this sector of renewable energy, how do you define ease of doing business?
Um, in this specific ease of business issue, we have always ranked as a runner. I think our ranks were 6, 7, 8, 7, something like this in the last 4, 5 years. But for solar, I think my view would be that we should be in the top three. Top three, maybe with Gujarat and Rajasthan and Tamil Nadu or something like that. But I think the right people to answer would be the people who have done business with us. So, from my point of view, we have never put anything. Yes, there are issues which we need to settle because if we give more concessions, then somebody is going to bear the loss. So, we have always been looking for a win win situation, which is win for the government and win for the investor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And sir, how much a percentage of energy being consumed in Rajasthan is right now in the renewable sector, and what is the target for next 5 years?
I was reviewing that. I think we are, in terms of production, we have a much higher figure. In terms of production, because we are producing energy, renewable energy for other states also. So if you see my data, I think out of 5,000, we have for 5,573. For Rajasthan, it is 1480, and for others, it's no, sorry, I mean my data may be not, but yes, we produce for others also, and we have a figure of around 6 to 7%. I think state share is 13%. My officers are correcting me, and we are keeping the target of 21% in the next 2 3 years. See, we have thermal plants which we have established, Surat Garam. We can't
Yes.
just do away with them. So we
Yeah.
have to keep a balance. And those have been created at huge expense. So it's always a question of priority. What do you do with these stuff? Now, their production cost at that time was the best, cheapest, that means. But with time, the costs have come down. Same thing has happened in renewable at a much faster rate. So the balance has to be made. I don't have the figures at the moment, but I'll be happy to share the
Sure.
details.
Sure.
Thank you.
So I think we can conclude here, and I must thank you for a very very enlightening presentation on this progress of the renewable energy sector in Rajasthan. And it's heartening to note. I was actually seeing your slides, and I was astonished by the kind of exemptions which the government is giving to attract the industry, and I think that should really become the booster for the investments in renewable energy sector. So the kudos to you for taking this leadership in this sector. Thanks for this. And on behalf of Elets, we would like to present you a certificate for participation. You have virtually.
Thank you.
So
Thank
we
you so
have
much.
always
Great.
like given to you physical certificate and mementos, but today we will do it virtually in this pandemic era. So
All right.
may I request my colleague Aman to kindly put up the certificate on the screen. Uh, so it's for you, our heartfelt thanks for joining us at this Knowledge Exchange Summit organized by Elets. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
And wish you and the team at Elets all the best. You have a wonderful set of people. Karthik has been closely working with us, guiding us and enabling this exchange. And we really look forward to a greater interaction. And we hope to work together and bring more people to Rajasthan, especially in the renewable energy sector, because this is environment friendly. So thank you very much for speaking to all the listeners through your medium. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you so much. Namaskar. Thank you.
देश है। विश्व में हमने युवाओं की आईटी एनर्जी के माध्यम से अपना एक रुतबा खड़ा किया है और भारत इसके बात के लिए गर्व कर सकता है। दुनिया में हम आंख में आंख मिला करके बात कर सकते हैं। और ये मेरा साफ मैं हमेशा कहता आया हूं, आईटी प्लस आईटी इज इक्वल टू आईटी। इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी प्लस इंडियन टैलेंट इज इक्वल टू इंडिया टुमारो।
May I request Secretary Industries Assam to please switch on your camera? Namaskar, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon. Namaskar to you.
Good afternoon and welcome to the 10th Elets Knowledge Exchange Summit, which is a 3-day virtual conference being organized by Elets Technomedia Private Limited. And here we have with us Mr. Pavitra Ram Khound. He is Secretary of Industries and Commerce Department, Government of Assam, and he is here to deliver a special address on industries and MSME growth opportunities. So I would request Secretary Sir to please take over and talk about industries and MSMEs growth opportunities, his views for Assam, Northeast and across India. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, let me record my appreciation to Elets for giving me this opportunity to interact with you all and share a few thoughts of mine with you. Basically, I don't want to make a detailed presentation or detailed speech as such, but I would just like to focus on a few important highlights and a few important points regarding the MSME sector and the overall the overall picture, snapshot of the industrial scenario in the state. First of all, since you had requested for just some inputs on the MSME sector, the MSME sector, as you all know, are the second largest contributors towards the economic growth of the country. With 63.4 million units throughout the country, they happen to form the backbone of the economy, contributing nearly 29.7% of the GDP. The contribution towards manufacturing GDP is around 6.11% and 24.63% of the GDP in service sector. They constitute 33.4% of India's manufacturing output, thereby providing employment to a large section of the people, around 120 million to be precise. Around 4% of the overall exports of the country are outputs, including products, services of the MSMEs. Assam, as a state, has a total number of 66,298 registered MSME units, which contributes to approximately 39% of the state gross domestic product. As you must be aware, the MSMEs previously were categorized into two sectors, manufacturing and service. In defining and classifying them, only investment criterion was taken into account. However, this definition of the MSMEs has undergone a change, and in the new definition, the turnover criteria has also been incorporated along with the net investment criteria. The breakup into manufacturing and services sectors has also been done away with, thereby clubbing all the units together in a single benchmark. The new classification, for the benefit of all who are not aware of it, is as follows. You know, in the category of micro, the investment criteria is 1 crore with a turnover of 5 crores. In the small category, the investment criteria is 10 crore with the turnover criteria being 50 crore. And in the medium sector category, the investment turnover is 50 crores and the turnover is 250 crores. So by bringing in the new definition, the scope of the MSME has been expanded, thereby making it possible to incorporate more and more units under its overall ambit so that they can avail all the incentives and additional policy concessions that are being offered under various policies, not only of the state government, but also of Government of India. Here actually, while talking about the industrial sector, we must all agree regarding the fact that the COVID pandemic in the country, which we have been facing for the last almost a year, has, as everyone knows, had a very, very debilitating impact on the entire economy of the country. And no sector in the country and in the states has got away unscathed. There has been a huge impact as far as job losses are concerned, and in fact, a large number of units, small units and enterprises have almost gone out of, service and become non-functional. So as we all know, Government of India, under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister of India, had announced the famous Atmanirbhar package for bringing about a self-reliant India and to give the much needed succor to the millions and millions to the lakhs of enterprises all over the country to get back on track after being very badly hit by the COVID pandemic. The subsequent lockdown, which accompanied the pandemic has put brakes on the entire economic engine of the country. And due to a variety of reasons, transportation bottlenecks, etc., including loss of market access due to the lockdown, the condition of the MSME sector has had become, in fact, very, very bad. To mitigate the hardships and to accelerate the economic progress and get back the MSME units into track, some specific components were announced by Government of India under this ambitious and laudable scheme, that is Atmanirbhar Bharat. And the most notable among this was the 3 lakh crore collateral free automatic loans to all MSME units, emergency credit line guarantee scheme, and the loan of up to 20% of the amount without any precondition, with a 4-year tenor and a 12-month moratorium, has been one of the most important components of the Atmanirbhar scheme. And this has benefited and will benefit a huge number of enterprises, not only in Assam, but also across the country. 20,000 crore subordinate debt for stressed MSME units, which will benefit all MSME units that have their loans classified as stressed or as non-performance assets, non-performing assets. All these components in this scheme, I feel, will go a long way in providing the much needed relief to the beleaguered MSME sector and the enterprises which have not been able to, withstand the impact of the COVID pandemic. Here, for successful implementation of this scheme, we cannot deny the paramount importance of the role that is being played by the financial institutions and banks of the country. Without their support, it will not be possible or would not have been possible to implement each and every component of the scheme in true letter and spirit. From the governments of Assam side, I can say that the Industries and Commerce Department has held a series of interactions and meetings with senior bank officials at the highest level of the government. And whatever bottlenecks have been found during the process of implementing these relief measures under Atmanirbhar Bharat have been amicably resolved and sorted out in the various discussions and deliberations that have been held at the level of Honorable Chief Minister, Honorable Minister of Finance, as well as Chief Secretary from time to time. Here, while we talk about the incentives that are being provided to industry and enterprise and investment in the state of Assam, mention must be made of Northeast Industrial Development Scheme 2017, where huge incentives have been given to various industries who are willing to come and set up industry or enterprises in the state of Assam. There, the main components are central capital investment incentive for the access to credit. Then we've got a central interest incentive, central comprehensive insurance incentive, goods and service tax reimbursement, and income tax reimbursement. The details can always be accessed in our website, and all the details regarding the various schematic components and aspects are clearly mentioned there. There's also a transport incentive an employment incentive, which have made this particular scheme very attractive to investors and industrialists set up industry in Assam. We also recently have come up with a very important initiative as far as Industries and Commerce Department, Government of Assam is concerned, to woo industries and investment to Assam. As you know, Assam is, from its location advantage and various other factors, you know, happens to be a very attractive and favorable investment destination in the country. Recently, the Industries and Commerce Department has come up with the Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprises Facilitation and Establishment Act, which provides for getting all clearances and approvals for setting up industry in Assam, and which basically defers all clearances by 3 years, except the approvals required for fire and emergency services and electricity. All other approvals can be obtained by the prospective or the potential investor or enterprise during the next 3 years. This act, which has been enacted by the State Assembly and has the powers of an act, will, I feel, definitely go a long way in assuaging leaders and companies who have been harboring any apprehension whatsoever for going ahead with investments in Assam. We also have a robust ease of doing business system in the state. You'll be happy to know that 400 plus services are onboarded in the EODB state portal across 35 departments, government departments. And we also have come up with a number of state action reform points and district action reform points so that you can comply with various compliances required by Government of India and Ministry of Industries and Commerce, Government of India. And we do have, in short, we can say that we do have a very congenial ambience for promoting and encouraging more and more new investment into Assam. A healthy fusion of all the concessions under the various policies, like the Northeast Industrial Policy, then the Industrial and Investment Policy of 2019, and various others, like the MSME Act, which has been recently notified by the Government in Industries and Commerce Department, I feel, and the various measures, relief measures, provided under the Atmanirbhar scheme, I believe will go a long way in providing the much required relief to the industry sector and the MSME sector in particular, and also pave the way for an investment-friendly climate in the entire state of Assam. And I would take this opportunity also through this forum to, request any potential investor or industrialists who would like to invest and set up industry in Assam that they are most welcome, and with an assurance that the Industries and Commerce Department, Government of Assam, will be and is committed to providing all logistical assistance and support to any potential investor or enterprise who are willing to invest in Assam. With these words, I once again thank the organizers of this virtual meeting for giving me an opportunity to share my views. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving a holistic perspective of the industrial development in the state of Assam. You have covered almost all the areas what is the current state of things there, and what are the future requirements of the state. One or two quick questions we would like to have and your views on those. You started your address by your focus on the MSME. MSME is one sector which has the potential to really drive the economy, particularly in the hinterlands. If I leave apart the metros and the economic centers, large urban centers, then MSME has the potential not only to generate employment, but that can also give a sustainable employment to and local livelihood. So specifically, what promotional incentives is Assam government for promotion of the MSME industry? Number one, and number two, the one challenge of MSME is that standardization, because it's as far as if we compare them with the global brands, then market access or lack of access to capital or a skilled manpower, those are some of the challenges. So I hope the government is aware of this and looking into these areas.
Yeah, to be specifically coming to that point as you raised regarding the promotional revenues for MSMEs in the hinterland, you're very correct that these opportunities and incentives need to be rolled out very effectively in the districts and the grassroots level. For that, we presently the industry department is also implementing a flagship program of Government of India Ministry of Food Processing, as you must be aware. The Prime Minister's formalization of micro enterprise scheme, where a slew of incentives have been offered under this particular scheme for micro enterprises in the food processing sector. And Assam, as many other states in the Northeast, has got a huge potential as far as food processing is concerned. And although we have huge potential, the the potential has not been tapped. We've not been able to tap it to the fullest potential. And so under this scheme, we are providing not only capacity building components, we are also providing, financial incentive from Government of India to micro units which have not been registered as yet. In the entire country, there is a huge lot of micro enterprises in the food processing sector, which are mostly unorganized and not registered with the government. So this scheme basically organized an umbrella and under the ambit of a government scheme where they'll be provided the necessary logistical support, training, as well as financial incentives and financial support, in fact, from the scheme for setting up not only new units, but also, upgrading their existing units, which have been running for so long in a very, very unorganized and, not in a very unsystematic manner. So this is one of the schemes that we are implementing now. We've already notified the general managers in the various districts as the nodal district points for that. We have a very high-level, state-level approval committee for getting approvals for all these units which need to be registered. The applications are starting to come in now, and for the next 3-5 years, in fact, this schemes aims at benefiting a huge number of micro enterprises in the food processing sector. This is what I can tell you about the promotion and for facilitating micro enterprises at the hinterland, at the grassroots level. As far as MSME goes, as you said, basically there's always apprehensions about government clearances, taking a very inordinately long time to be, onboarded. So basically through this MSME Act, as I told you in my discourse a few minutes back, this Facilitation and Establishment and Promotion of MSME Act 2020 is a watershed. if this can be implemented effectively, which we are planning to do now, lots of investors will be benefited in the sense that the normal perception that getting any kind of approval from any department for setting up industry takes a long time because there are various procedural hurdles. But this act, I believe very strongly, will definitely go a long way in reducing these compliances and also making it favorable for anyone to start an enterprise or industry in India. This is what I can say as of now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Assam is the gateway not only to the rest of the Northeast India, but also gateway to the ASEAN countries. And in my view, it is very strategically located states, one of the most strategically located states in India. It is endowed with a lot of natural wealth, natural resources, abundance of forest cover, and plus a market access to the ASEAN. So that is your locational competitive advantage. So I hope
Yes.
the government of Assam is doing itself to market board itself in the international platforms in terms of
Yes.
bringing in the investors.
Yeah. We've been taking a series of initiatives for that. In fact, we recently had a very fruitful and meaningful interaction with some companies and enterprises in Singapore. Then we had a VC at a very high level of the chief secretary also, and at the level of honorable minister industries also with the European enterprise. Then recently, just about 2 days back, I had a very meaningful interaction with the embassy of Kuwait for bringing in investment into various sectors, especially the oil sector, where we have got huge reserves of not only crude oil but also natural gas. So we have been from time to time at regular intervals at the government level. We've been interacting with various you know intending and potential investors who want to come to Assam, and we are trying our best. And Government of India, Ministry of Industries and Commerce, especially Department of Promotion for Internal Trade and Industry, has also been very, very supportive in our endeavor to attract investments to the state. They have come up with various policies and they have come up with various, short-term and long-term measures so that states like Assam and other northeastern states are benefited largely by strict and effective implementation of these measures. So I think in the next 2 to 3 years, we hope that we'll see a number of investments coming to Assam, and various projects have also been grounded. It's not that we've only been planning and having interactions with the various, at various levels and various forums. We've also seen a few projects being grounded also. You'll be coming to know about these in a very short while, I hope. And industries and commerce departments, the core area presently, we are devoting most of our time and energies towards bringing in, concrete investment proposals in the state and trying our best through the various arms of the government to make it easy and comfortable for the businessman to start industry or enterprise in Assam.
So great. My best wishes to you, Secretary Industries and Commerce, Government of Assam, Mr. Pavitra Ram Kunde. We wish that a lot of investments, particularly the foreign investments, flow into the state of Assam, and Assam is truly able to rise to the full potential. It's again repeating that it has got a lot of potential, a lot of resources, natural resources, forest resources, water resources. You are endowed with river Brahmaputra, with a lot of energy, hydro energy potential. So my best wishes to you and to your state. And we are just now over with the time, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. In fact, I would once again convey my thanks and appreciation to you for having such a, a delightful session of, sharing of views, and look forward to a similar kind of interaction in the future too. Thanks.
Sure, sir. It's a pleasure. And before we conclude, I would check up with my backend team if the certificate is ready. So we have the honor of giving this certificate of participation to Mr. Pavitra Ram Khond. He is Secretary, Industries and Commerce Department, Government of Assam. He is the man who is steering the industrial transformation of the state of Assam, and we wish that the Assam is able to truly harness its full potential. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
and joining this platform. Bye-bye.
I really appreciate it. Thanks. Thanks for the certificate too.
Thank you.